Well, hello there. This is Virtuoso Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. I'm really excited to announce that from the beginning of this week, I have been promoted, ascended from the Crystal League in the Players League on chess.com to the next level, which is the Elite League. Sounds good to me, Elite League. Now, I've been stuck on Crystal for almost 2 years. I just never played enough games to get enough points to get to the next level. Last week, I decided I was going to go for it, and in the end, I had to play 98 games in my division to guarantee being in the top 3 ranks, and the top 3 would move on to the next level, which is now the Elite League. Now, I actually was able to come first. I'm really pleased about that. But with the 98 games of Blitz, I only play 5+5, I thought it'd be really interesting to actually demonstrate and show to you some of the insights I got from those games. Now, those following my channel will know that I love opening aggressive romantic openings, read a whole book about it, become a chess assassin, learn to play the best chess opening attacks, get your copy on Amazon. So I usually try to play an aggressive opening, and so what was the most effective in Blitz over the week of 98 games? That actually surprised me a little bit. Now, looking through my data, I actually won, let me have a look, 23 games out of the 98 within 20 moves. And of those 23 games, 6 of them, which was the most frequent, 6 of them was using the von Hennig Gambit against the Caro-Kann defense. That was the most effective opening for me. Second most effective was probably one of the Vienna lines. I got 4 wins within 20 moves. And in fact, with the Caro-Kann von Hennig Gambit, it seems to me that players who play the Caro-Kann simply aren't very familiar with it. So I got the 8-move checkmate twice. Let's have a quick look at what that looks like. Some of you might know it already. So it begins with Caro-Kann e4, the c6, take the full center. They basically try to undermine with a flank pawn. Now knight, they take, and the von Hennig Gambit is we gambit that pawn with the bishop. And almost here, we almost always see the same moves. Knight to defend. I threatened with another pawn. They take, seemingly no other real choice. Take. And in this position, the blunder, tactical blunder, serious mistake that black can do is to try to pin that knight to the queen. And in fact, this occurred 3 times. So here, if you now leap forward, oh no, my queen, they take, and that is a mate. Famous 8-move checkmate. I actually got this twice in my run of 98 games. But those, I played that, that oh no, my queen in against sort of lower rated players, so players sort of in the 900s. Now, this was actually the last game I played in the series of 98, slightly higher rated opponent. So I opted not to do the oh no, my queen, but let's move forward back to the position. The von Hennig, they take, and here the pin, that's a serious mistake. Here, the correct move is a bishop sack. Take, a brilliant move, and the idea is if the king captures, we've now got a check, king moves back, and we basically win a piece. Now, my opponent, I think, calculated what was going to happen. And sometimes this happens with sort of intermediate players. They think, oh, I don't like the look of that. And so instead, they run their king instead. But that's actually worse. Straight up blunder, because we still can have check and capture. But in this variation, I get to keep my bishop. So this is not better for black. So check. There we go. We take the bishop, and now the king kind of is exposed, and it's a matter of developing, casting the king to safety. Very often there'll be tactics to allow for a win. All right, they develop their other knight. That kind of makes sense, so that they don't hide the king away. Give a check, awkward position, leap my knight forward. Okay, so with an attack there, what are they going to do? because potentially my thinking here is there is a potential check there as well. So what are they going to do? All right, they take this way as expected, but now with that check, they bring the knight back. I short castle. They try to move their king here. It's a battery. They give a check, but I can just move the king to safety. They try to move the king out of the way. And what I saw with the basically the fully open d file, take, pin, take, and here emotional damage. Good game, GG. So the von Hennig Gambit is just such a powerful, opening, especially if black plays that mistake. It's so common for them to make that mistake with the pin. All right. So that was the von Hennig Gambit. What about the the highest rated player, so the strongest player I played against in that run of 98 games? Well, let's have a look at this game against someone who's rated at almost 1200 in Blitz. So my peak rating in Blitz is sort of the middle 1100s. For them, it's 1200s, almost 1300, and that's sort of matched also in Rapid. So in Rapid, they've been all the way up to about 1600. I'm only at best about 1400. So in both, they're about 200 elo points stronger than me. Definitely the strongest player. And here, I played the opening that I recently described as the Rorschach of romantic openings, the Queen sacrifice line of England Gambit. So my opponent wanted to play a civilized, potentially positional game with the Queen's Pawn opening. I hit it immediately with the England Gambit. And the only way white can capture the advantage with the England Gambit is to accept. Most stronger players know this and will play into the England complex because they think that they can refute it. They know the refutation. But this allows for the queen sack line. So knight, queen, bishop, bang. We've got that triple fork. So pretty much they have to bring the bishop back, move one of the refutation. We take the pawn. They have to develop the knight, critical move two of the refutation, bishop with that attack, and now rook. That's a move 3 of the refutation. Here, whites probably think they're completely winning because queen to a3, and it's a withering damage position for black, and white has initiative. But queen sack line, we just uncompromisingly hold on to the initiative. Takes, check, knight have to fall back. Everything is all bound up for white, and we take and we move into the middle game. And we're saying that the damaged pawns, the fact they numerically have fewer pieces, so I've got 6 pieces left, they got 5, even if they've got the queen, that I have counterplay. And very often I find in time shortage, for example in Blitz, I'm able to drag the game out towards an end game and potentially win. It is more difficult to play as white than it is for black. So they know the right move, open that up, basically prevents me to immediately take advantage of that pin, develop the knight again, keep the pin again, bishop out, correct move, preventing that pin. So again, better players will often play this way. Stockfish reckons the rook to attack the bishop immediately. That awkward looking move is best, but better players often don't like that because it puts a rook in a funny place. They're looking to short castle. I now take center, short castle. This is all correct for white. I short castle as well. My strategy now is I'm going to try to harass and attack white's king with my combination of pieces. And note, I've got the knight pair, bishop pair, and rook pair. And the pairings of the pieces often have a degree of combinatory power where they don't. They've got the rook pair, but the rooks aren't in the game, certainly at the beginning. And against a lot of pawns, I've still got 7 pawns, it's difficult to use. They've got a knight and bishop, but they don't have pairs of either. All right, they attack my bishop, pull back. Here, I don't want to trade pieces unless I'm really forced to. Here we go, looking at, creating some more tactics. They pull the rook back, gain a tiny bit of tempo. Here we go, bishop here, rotated, attacking their king. That's what I'm aiming for. There we are. I move my knight back. Don't want to lose it for no reason. Here, I've got nothing better than taking the bishop, so I do that. Here, let's kick the knight. Okay, I still got one knight, still have the bishop pair. Trying to get my knight potentially into an attack. Here we are. They move that, that's good. I can pull back, attack again. Here we go, once attack, again attacking their rook. Knights are just so tricky. There we go. So that all kind of makes sense, but I'm forcing them to use moves, and notice that their advantage has now dropped down to only about +1. But they have got +2. So this is one of the things that's so powerful in this position. It's difficult white to play. I've got, it's 3.5 minutes left. They've only got 2. Here we are. Push forward. What are they going to do? Take. Okay, here I'm feeling a little bit precarious. Let's defend. They move their rook, trying to attack. Let's defend. Infiltrating with queen, getting a little bit scary. They only have 25 seconds left. Here, I defend that pawn once again. They take. That's all right. Looks a bit scary, but king here still defended. They can't attack even though like here because of that defense. All right, they move a piece. 18 seconds left, under 20 seconds. And now, because of the open G file, I've got a counterattack. I still got 2 minutes. I'm winning the time control. But notice white is doing really well. They've never lost their advantage thus far. I've not had a reversal. They move their king out of the way. Correct move. Take, attack that. I attack that rook. And here they make their mistake. Seems to make sense, doesn't it? Looks like they've got an attack on my pieces, but I've got the reversal. It's back to equality, 0, 0, 0. They've got 20 seconds left. I've got basically 1.5 minutes. Can I get this? This was a mistake because they needed to keep control of the third rank. I'm controlling the G file, and bang, I've got a fork of the rook and queen. I'm winning material. They bring it back. Capture, very simple for me. Capture, 14 seconds left. I did use a bit of time to do that thinking, but still 0, 0, 0. Just need to be careful. Let's simplify. Move that bishop out of the way. It was under attack anyway. Captures. They don't capture back immediately. That's fine. I take. They take this way. I need to be careful. This rook, very powerful, controlling the G file. Here we go. In this position here, maybe there's something there. They take, double up. I'm looking at potentially attacking their queen. They give a check, forced to move back. They move here. I'm on the back rank. They give another check, running out of time. I've moved my king again. It's all still 0, 0, 0. It's a tie, but in a tie where I have the time advantage, I'm much more likely to win because they'll flag. And he, short on time, white feeling anxious, probably trying to hope that I would lose on time. They blunder. They blunder their queen, a rook to G3, forgetting that that is hanging, bang, and here I think they had emotional damage, wondering what they could do. They couldn't make another move, and they time out. Good game, GG. Excellent demonstration how the queen sacrifice line, according to evaluation, it's normally completely losing, and yet it's so hard potentially for white to play in short time controls. It's easier for black. I can often drag things out. Often I get a reversal, aiming potentially for a draw, but like in this game, actually getting a win from flagging. All right, really, really happy. The next game I'm going to show you is what I think was the most beautiful game in my series of 98. And in this game, I once again had the black pieces, white with my opponent with white, decided to play one of the trickiest and in fact most effective gambits that white has against black, and that is the Scotch Gambit. So that starts with the Scotch. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bang, you've got the Scotch game. The d4, I take, white does not capture back, Scotch Gambit, bishop to c4. Very, very effective gambit when you look at the live chess community database. White has a commanding win likelihood advantage, even from turn 4. Basically, white has the advantage in development, and they're saying that that pawn isn't particularly scary. Now, luckily for me, I've actually analyzed the Scotch Gambit before. The best, well, ostensibly sensible sort of moves, like maybe defending the pawn or maybe even giving a check. Those moves, even though they're technically correct, it's difficult to play for black. White tends to win. White has tricks. The correct move, in my view, the most effective move that takes away white's win likelihood advantage and gives us tricks of our own, is knight to f6, a two knights approach. This is also known as the Dubois Reti defense. Now, I've had people comment on my channel before to say it's not Dubois, it's Dubois. It's a French name. Now, I know that the name is pronounced Dubois in French. However, Serafino Dubois, of which this move is named after, was an Italian. That particular name is both a French and Italian surname, and my understanding is Italians tend to pronounce it as Dubois, and Dubois is probably the way Serafino Dubois pronounced his name, so in my view that's a correct pronunciation. All right, so you might think, doesn't that mean that white can advance their e-pawn? Yes, we're expecting it, but now we've hit with this wonderful move, a d5, counter-attacking the bishop. And if you look at the Lee Chess community database, in this position, black has now gained the win likelihood advantage. We've taken away some of the trickiness, some of the win likelihood advantage that white has in the Scotch Gambit. And this transformation in this position is really, really common. So we're not expecting white to play any weird sort of moves. So I think this is a really winning approach. This is actually the best move in this position. You can play here, you can play here, but I decided to go aggressive and effectively, do something, do an attack myself. I'm expecting them to take this. I'm going to move my knight to an attack. A knight attack, knight to g4. See, Stockfish doesn't like it. They take, makes sense. You can see Stockfish actually thinks that castling is best for them due to this knight attack. Looks like they've got two attackers there. What am I doing? That's fine. I am going to basically not even going to take right away. I'm going to gambit well, I'm not even gambiting. White just took back a point of material, and I'm going to use that almost like a gambit. I'm going to develop myself with this bishop, and if they move the knight, there is a potential double attack, holding that knight in position for a turn. They short castle, and that very, very surprisingly is a mistake. In this position, their best move, the only good move they had, was to take this way with this attack on the queen, which forces me to potentially have to do something. So that was actually their best move. It's difficult to see, right? It doesn't look like it's the right move. This is inaccurate. You can see I've now got the advantage, but now I short castles as well, and now they take, and surprisingly, it is now a blunder. It's completely unexpected, isn't it? It's completely a blunder. The difference is previously with the king still in this position, there's a potential discovered check. That's, I think, the difference here. Here, I don't even take back the knight. I gambit the lost knight, queen to h4, immediately threatening checkmate, but also 3 attackers on f2. White is in some serious trouble. Here, the block makes sense, but now I take, there's a discovered check. What are they going to do? Attack on the queen. They move the queen. Makes sense. That's a blunder. And it's a blunder because, bang, I take. That is now a double check. They cannot take this way. King is forced to move. They move to the right square. That is the correct square, because if they move king to h1, I now have once again double check. King is forced to move. You can't take. King is forced to move here, and bang, that would be an absolute brilliant mate. So that didn't happen. So they moved the king here, but now I've got another check. The knight is defended by my bishop, so they can't take this way. The only way to escape check is that the queen has to block the check with its body on h3, but that is attacked 3 different ways. They lose the queen. Looks like there's a mating net anyway, and white opted to design. Very, very lovely. Good game, GG. Now, the last game I'm going to show you is the game where I had the most unexpected win, where I completely blundered, completely losing, decided to play on, tried to play on rigorously even though I was losing, and I managed to get a reversal. So that's really fun when that happens. Let's go take a look. Now, a 900 rated player, and they decide to play the Wayward Queen attack against me. Don't see it too often anymore. So e4, e5, Wayward Queen. Now the received way of defending against that is to play the knight, but I've recently been playing the Kiddie Countergambit. You're gambiting the pawn, they take with the queen, we block with the bishop immediately, almost ready to short castle. They do something else, and whoops, bang, we're attacking the queen and we chase the queen. This is often a really, really good way of playing against the Wayward Queen attack. White often doesn't see it, they rarely see it, they don't really know how to play it. Sometimes higher rated players who keep playing the Wayward Queen attack has completely learnt the theory for the main way of playing it, and basically they outplay you because of their theoretical knowledge. Here, they probably don't have it. All right, so here they move the queen back. Looks like they've got an attack there. That's actually not a good move. I decided to short castle anyway, but I didn't really need to do that. Okay, now they've got bishops here with the queen, so potentially quite a good attack. That attack on the bishop, they moved it back. Here I hit the center. That's a very, very tricky move, but it is actually a mistake, but it requires me to find the right move, which I think is this or this to defend the g7 pawn. In this position, I lost sight of the fact that the light square diagonal controlled the h5 square, so I just blithely just played the knight thinking, yep, hits the queen, I defend, and straight up blunder, I lose, and their bishops and their queens are staring. It's scary looking. Here, I decided, look, I just have to take away that checkmate risk. So I decided to play g6. Stockfish doesn't think it's the most accurate, but after captures, they're going to move their bishop back, and at least I have a strong sense that I'm not immediately at risk of checkmate. But I'm definitely losing. You can see this. I'm 6 points of material down. It's not looking good. White is doing really well, but no one has ever won by resigning. So I opted to play on in this position because it didn't seem obvious that white absolutely would win. I'm going to try to get a reversal. All right, get the bishop out. Here, I put an attack on the queen, so that's a very common sort of idea in the Kiddie Countergambit. All right, need to move my knight back, and here they've lost their dark square bishop, but they make excellent use of their pawns, putting them on dark squares, moving back, moving back, moving back. Look at this, and look at that. All these pawns, this absolutely amazing pawn pyramid, controlled and supported by the queen on the dark squares. White is doing really well. I'm just pushed back. I have no space. What am I going to do? And here I thought, look, I need to be able to get some of my pieces out. So let's trade. And I expected them to trade, because they're up on material. You should make balanced trades. But I saw this and I went, oh, obviously they're attacking that piece, but this is logically the best move for them. And so psychologically, I've got some opportunities. So I think white was beset with something known as the loss aversion bias. So often when people are ahead, they're loath to lose any material, even if that is their best choice, even if they've not actually lost anything because they're ahead. Loss aversion bias is a very, very common cognitive bias. And when the opponent starts exhibiting that, it means that potentially we can put our pieces in squares that they shouldn't actually have access in, because the opponent is more likely to hold the position or maybe even pull back. And that gives us opportunities. All right, so that made me know that psychologically I actually had something I could do. Here we go. Bishop in this position. They give an attack. Here, come on, trade. Here, I force them to trade, so they do trade, but that's okay. That's okay. All right, they give an attack. And in this position, I sacrifice them another piece. Basically, look at that, +8. Basically, so I punch a hole so that I can get an attack in. Capture, what are they going to do? Here, with that hole being punched in the dark squares, there's now a check. Okay, interesting, isn't it? Interesting. In this position, what's the best move for white? It's to offer a trade, or maybe even block with the rook. But loss aversion bias will make white unlikely to see those as potential options. So either of those moves would have been better, but instead they move their king. And here I had another idea. Are they trying to run their king? Because that is likely to be a mistake, or they're much more likely to make a significant mistake by moving their king when it's defended by pieces. All right, opportunities abound. Here, I've got an attack on the queen. Queen moves to the back rank. King is almost, well, actually is their most advanced piece. Yes, the knight is on the 3rd rank, but it's on the edge of the board. It's weak. Dark square weaknesses, punching that hole made a very, very important, had very important effect. Or once again, with check, they probably needed to move the king back, running the king again. And you can see, blunder, I've got my reversal with the check. It's a fork, in fact. And here, white makes a second and, in fact, terminal blunder. They keep running the king. That was their tactic, but that was a faulty tactic. The king has stepped in front of their line of pawns. They cross to the other side of the fence, away from all their other pieces, and it's trapped because the way back is closed. You can see a mate in 5, but in reality, it's much shorter than that. Check, it's only a mate in 5 or a mate in 4 in this position if white chooses to lose their dignity and drag things out as much as possible by futile blockages. I can block, 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 and then final block. That's the mate in 4, but here they move, and that's mate a reversal from a completely losing position. Good game, GG. I really enjoyed playing the run of games, 98 games in a week. Like, I normally only play 1 or 2 games, sometimes no games a day. So that was a real effort for me. And I sort of learned a few things about myself. Like, I play really badly when I'm tired in the middle of the night, which I did on Sunday night. I hope you enjoyed these games. Hope you try to move up through the player leagues as well. It's fun. It's, it doesn't cost anything. You get access to the players league as long as you're a member of chess.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you again.